Hello, sports fans, and welcome to yet another edition of MSU Sports Circle, the defining voice in all things sports. I'm your host, Tyler Smith, joined as always by my good colleagues, Matt Johnson and Justin Neely. Now, for those of you that are unaware or may not know, we're going to start today's episode with a special moment of silence paying tribute to one of the boxing all-time greats, Smokin' Joe Frazier. Thrilla and Manila went back and forth with Muhammad Ali. Without a doubt, fellas, a true legend of the sport. If you will with me, a moment of silence. And with that, we shall begin the show. We'll get right into it. Discussion one. There's no question about it. The Alabama game versus LSU was a very great defensive battle. I'll put that in parentheses. A good defensive battle. But in your opinion, was it the game of the year? Justin, I'll start with you.
I'm not going to go on record by calling it the game of the year. I'll say it was one of the best games for the talent factor. I mean, you had arguably the two best teams in the nation going at it, dogfighting. But to their defense, I mean, what do you expect? I mean, this is exactly what I projected this game to be. One, LSU winning. Two, it was going to be a field goal game. I did not think that Alabama was not going to capitalize when they had chances, so it disappointed me a little bit. But overall, it was a good game, but not the best.
Matt, your thoughts?
Good game, but no by any means it's a great game. I really thought it would have been a little high scoring. I understand these two defenses are very powerful, explosive, and they're just not going to let anybody do what they really want to do. But overall, I thought it was going to be like probably as best it's going to be. It's like a championship game, and it's nowhere even close.
No, and I don't want to say that it was a letdown because it was a good game, but I think it's very hard to label this game as game of the year, so to speak. But Justin, I'll ask you, what maybe could have happened to make it more so a game of the year situation?
People like excitement. People like fireworks. They like controversy. But, I mean, in a game like this, it's not going to happen. When you have two teams who are both equally talented, equally strong, they cancel one another out. And then it goes into coaching. As Matt stated last week, it goes into playing it smart. That is what both teams did.
Matt, for you, what had to happen for it to be the game of the year?
Pretty much what he said. We needed more excitement, more, like I said, booming fireworks, which we did not see.
All right, now we'll move on from there. Now, with that game, this changes a whole different landscape now for the national championship game. We talked about it all season long here on the show. We knew that once this game happened, it was going to have a trickle-down effect in the BCS. Justin, I'll start with you. What is the most likely or most logical national championship matchup right now?
I mean, of course you hear the Boise State whispers here and there, but for me, I stand strong and stand firm to what I've been saying all show long. We are going to see a SEC Big 12 showdown. I really think it's going to be between LSU and either or undefeated Oklahoma State or Oklahoma, both of which they have to play each other. So the outcome of that is going to tell us a lot.
All right, now I hear you saying SEC Big 12. Matt, how do you feel?
Right there with him. The winner of December 3rd, which was, like he just said, Oklahoma State versus Oklahoma. Whoever wins that will be in the national championship game.
So you're saying without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
Now, I have to throw this guy out here, guys. We still have teams like Boise State who are undefeated, but I think their strength of schedule will be a little too weak. I don't see the Boise Broncos being in there. However, don't forget about Stanford. They're still undefeated right now, and they're ranked just behind Alabama. So do you think that possibly Stanford could slip in there?
I mean, it's a possibility, but as far as you're asking me the most logical, most realistic thing, I still think it's going to be SEC Big 12. Big ups to Stanford. They're doing their thing, and they rightfully earned their ranking. But then again, I feel the best teams is going to be SEC Big 12. Logically, that's what I see happening. I'm not saying that's an impossibility for them to get into the BCS championship game. I'm just saying right now I don't see it happening.
Of course, and I think that's a good point to make because there are a lot of factors still to go here in the season because you have Stanford who has to play Oregon, and then like you guys talked about, you have Oklahoma State taking on Oklahoma, which I think is going to be a very exciting matchup. Maybe that might be the game of the year possibly. We don't know yet. I don't think that we've, in all fairness, seen the game of the year. But there's more to see here on MSU Sports Circle right after the break. Welcome back once again. You're watching MSU Sports Circle. We're now in our second discussion here on the show. And fellas, we're going to dive into some NFL football. We've had a pretty intense segment here the last couple shows called Did You See That? And Matt, I'll start with you. What did you see that blew your mind?
Several things. I'm going to go with my man Tebow coming back and winning this week. 100 yards passing and rushing against against Oakland Raiders. Very impressive. I kind of just think that I don't know what it is about Tim Tebow, but it's like 50-50 in the sporting world with him. Some people want to see him succeed. Some people want to see him fail. And I just think he's taking it in motivation. Like, you know what? I'm not listening to either side. I'm just going to do what I can do, which is play football and go out there and win this game. And that's what he's doing. And I think he just can keep it up the rest of the season. I really believe that.
Tebow was certainly a highlight. Justin, were there any other highlights that you noticed that stood out among the others?
I'm going to call it an upset. I'm going to go ahead and talk about the Patriots game. I mean, despite Brady's, 342 yards and 2 interceptions, I'm going to repeat, 2 interceptions, not very Brady-like, the Giants pulled out the win, which, most importantly, ends a home winning streak for the Patriots. Big shout-outs to Eli Manning. I mean, he had 250 yards, add 2 touchdowns. And, I mean, Jacobs had 72 yards, and he also had a touchdown. But the most important thing about this game was the Giants' defense. They forced Tom Brady. They made him uncomfortable. If you just watch the game, they made him extremely uncomfortable, which was very impressive for me. Maybe there's hope. Maybe they have a little hope in that franchise right now.
There might be just a little slight, teeny little window of possibility for the New York Giants. And that's a good point about the defense because you're absolutely right. Tom Brady did not quite look, as we would say, Brady-esque.
Not at all.
Now, I'll ask you guys, what about the Ravens-Steelers game? Did you see that one?
Very impressive game. It was pretty much like the Alabama-LSU, just hard-nosed defense. Nobody's really going to score that much, and it was just a very impressive game with the Ravens end up pulling out and winning.
That's the game. That Ravens-Steelers is what people wanted to see with LSU-Alabama. That's what it was missing. First half, defensive, played it safe. Second half, came out, punched you in the mouth. We're here to play. What are you going to do to stop us? And they answered the call. LSU, Alabama lacked that. Ravens, Steelers, amazing, phenomenal football.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of some phenomenal football, there have been some absolutely killer rookies this year. Matt, I'll start with you. If we had to pick right now, it's still, a couple games to go in the season. Who's your rookie of the year?
Right now, I'm going with the TCU rookie, Andy Dalton from Cincinnati Bengals. Very impressive. I'm just going to throw this out there. There's no way I could have seen them first-year quarterback come in, lose Carson Palmer, lose Chad Ochocinco, and be placed at 6-2 in the AFC North. And it's incredible what's going on down there. There's no way I thought this was going to happen. Him and A.J. Green, they just have so good of chemistry. Very impressed with him. By far the best rookie this year. No offense to Cam Newton, but you cannot take away from his record.
All right, Justin, your rookie of the year.
Now, you got Cam Newton, possible Marino records setter, record breaker. You have Andy Dalton, who is an impact player who's arguably turned the whole franchise of the Bengals around. But I'm going to take it somewhere that doesn't get enough love. Let's go to the defense, fellas. LSU cornerback Patrick Peterson. I mean, he's playing for the Cards right now. He has 35 tackles, 2 interceptions. Now, that's not as impressive as when you're looking at offensive stats. It doesn't pop. It doesn't stand out. There are no fireworks. But at the same time, you have a cornerback with 35 tackles. That means this boy is not afraid to get down and dirty. And his hands, foot speed, and he's able to read the plays, whether it's zone or man coverage, is ridiculous.
Absolutely. And not only that, but this man had a 99-yard punt return that was Madden-esque. Very impressive by Patrick Peterson. I'll be interested to see what goes down for the Rookie of the Year. We'll have more of the show coming up right after this break.
What's wrong, dude? Second guessing that cheeseburger? Maybe you should take another look at that before you eat it.
Don't eat me.
Now how could you be thinking of eating that when really you're thinking of a slow-cooked chili-covered geodog with cheese with your selected choice of chips? Throw that thing away. Located on the first floor behind the elevator.
What about me?
Welcome back. At this portion of the show, we'll do our MSU Weekly Recap, where we show a little love to all of our MSU athletes, including the ones in season. Right now, that would be football, soccer, and volleyball. Devonna, we'll start out with MSU football. As much as it pains me to say, once again, the MSU football team did not come away with a W. However, there was one part of good news to bring away from the game. Devonna, do you have that one glimmering shine of good news?
Well, MSU quarterback Zach Lewis, he made 44 attempts or 44 completions and 67 attempts, which is setting game records. And so that was a good thing, but it was really hard for me to look at that and get past the other things. Like, we almost allowed 2,000 yards of rushing just this year. Do you understand?
I hear what you're saying. I mean, 2,000 yards is quite a bit in any conference, because when you give up that many yards, well, I'll put it to you this way. Most people in college football, if they rush for 2,000 yards, that's a beast season. So as a team to give up 2,000 yards, that's never a good thing. But to focus on the highlight that is Zach Lewis, he did set an MSU record.
Yes.
And more importantly, he had 400 yards passing and 4 touchdowns. But like we've talked about, was it the defense again this time?
Yeah, it was definitely defense. Like, to me, defense is making opposing team running backs look like NFL prospects. Are you serious? And we're not even playing like football that's scholarship football. Like, this is totally ridiculous. I mean, it's just good offense but bad defense.
Unfortunately, that's been the case all season long. But hats off to Zach Lewis, and a very good job breaking the MSU records. You absolutely deserve it, young man.
Good job.
Now we'll move on from football, and we'll go to the MSU volleyball Eagles. They finished out their home schedule with a pair of conference wins. Devonna, catch us up with how important that was for the Eagles.
It was very important. They finished out really good. I claimed it, so whoop to me. But it was really good. The seniors, Emma Keogh and Liz Schuler, okay. They finished the games with wins, and it was like amazing. They had like 21 kills in the SEMO game. They had like 21 kills in the first set and 17 in the second set, which is great. And the team, I believe that Morehead State's volleyball team is the best in the conference, period. Like, just the way they interact with each other and the way that they just help assist with things, like, it's amazing. That's exactly what the team needs. The blocking was very solid as well, and Liz was just on attack. So
absolutely, and she's usually a defender for the Morehead State volleyball team, but because it was senior night, she got to go back to her attack position. Yeah. And she did very well. She was very excited to do that. And speaking of blocking and blocked assist, we should mention that Emma Keogh was able to break the MSU career record for most blocked assists with 354. So shout out to Emma Keogh. She's had a very impressive senior year, a very impressive career at MSU. And by the way, she has a 4.0 GPA.
That's amazing for a student athlete because it's an all-day job. But yeah, Liz, she was on attack, and usually she said that in practice she gets to be on attack. So she gets to kind of experiment with things, and so I think she was really excited to be back on attack for her senior year. Absolutely.
Now we'll finish out with the OVC Soccer Eagles. Unfortunately, teardrop for the MSU soccer team. They lost in the championship game of the OVC tournament. Devonna, what went wrong?
It was just at halftime they were putting up a good match. They were 1-0, but UT Martin just kept coming strong, and so we just kind of lost it. It just wasn't anything we could really do. They kind of sealed the deal, and which earned them a spot in the NCAA soccer tournament. So
It was very, I don't want to say a letdown, because they had a very good run as a 5 seed. They made the championship game. A lot of people didn't have them in the championship game, so hats off to the MSU Soccer Eagles for that. But it was very disappointing to see the Soccer Eagles not come away with a win.
Yeah.
But hopefully you won't be disappointed, because we have more MSU Sports Circle right after the break. We'll see you then.
Oh yeah, that's right. Get the good stuff. The Java City on campus has just what you need to get you going. Located on the first floor of the Camden Carroll Library.
Welcome back. Once again, you're watching MSU Sports Circle here on MSUTV. Guys, we're now on our third discussion, and we're doing a little bit of regional college basketball. Matt, I'll start with you. Get us up to speed with what the University of Louisville has been up to.
Like I said, you just completed our 2 expedition games, one and 2 locals, one against Pikeville University and another your defending national champions in Division II, Bellarmine Knights. Observations, what I've seen in the 2 games, a little banged up, a little injured. We got UofL has some nice little freshmen in Shane Behan that's going to be a big threat down low for the Big East. Overall, I think once they do get the pieces that are hurt right now, this can be capable to be a real good basketball team. It all depends on injuries.
All right. In all fairness, we will go to UK, Big Blue Nation, Lexington, Wildcats. Justin, what you got?
Well, the Wildcats played their first exhibition game and won 97-53 against Transy. They also played Morehouse University the other night, won 125-40. Yes, that's not an error, 125-40. One thing about this team I did notice is I'm still sticking to what I said. The upperclassmen are the stars of this team. Great point guard play, and they show glimpses of brilliance. Now, can they do this on a consistent basis against good teams? That's to be determined, but we shall see.
All right. Now we'll move from U of L and UK, and we'll focus more on MSU, as we are MSU Sports Circle. Justin, we'll start with you. How are the men's team looking right now?
The men's team look like they're trying to adjust to the fact that this is the end of the Kenneth Fareed era. I mean, we have great individual players, great talented players, especially at our guard. You know, we have the new transfer, Marcel. We also have our pure freshman point guard, Andre. You know, he looked a little shaky, but at the same time, it's because he is a pure freshman. You have the crowd around you bigger than what you're used to playing against Yellen. Terrence Hill did his thing, 18 points. Milton Chavez did his thing. And then also you got Drew Kelly. But one thing that we did not do is rebound. And we need to accept the fact that we can't rely on Kenneth down there anymore. I mean, he's not there. Kenneth Fareed is no longer here at Morehead State University. He will always be here in spirit. Physically, he's not. Someone needs to step up.
Absolutely, and I think that's a great point in the fact that when we were all at the game and we watched, the fans expected them to hear, and now at center, Kenneth Fareed, but he was nowhere to be found. We talked to Coach Tyndall about it. They have to start playing like he's not there because, let's face it, he's not. Now, Matt, what do you see in the MSU men's basketball team?
My observations is pretty much the same thing he said. I kind of think Coach Tyndall realizes there is really on paper, it really is not a superstar. On paper, that's still not to be determined yet. Terrence Hill or potentially Drew Kelly can end up being that star, but for right now, there is no star. That being said, we have to pretty much come as a team and just be like, hey, this is a new core team. Like you said, there's no DeMonte Harper. There's no more Kenneth Fareed. We got to come together, and we got to figure some way to get in the groove and win some games. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I do think we're going to start off a little slow.
A little shaky start, I think. But I think that's also a testament to how good of a non-conference schedule that Coach Tyndall picks every year. Would that be fair to say?
I think that's very fair to say. I don't think that it's impossible for them to reach greatness. I really don't. What I see with this team, when I look at the roster, excellent, great individual players. Now, when they come together as a new core, not the old core, a new core, and develop chemistry, they will be dangerous.
All right, now real quick, guys, how much success do we see the MSU women's team having?
I see them having a great season. Personally, I love this defensive setup. I love the half-court trap. I love the half-court press. I love it. It's reminiscent of Tennessee boys in '08. Like, I love what I'm seeing right now. And I love the three-guard setup. Like, the ball control we have on the court, I feel rivals any other program in our division. You know, you got Allie Turner, Courtney Lumpkin, and Linda doing their thing right now. It's very hard to slow us down.
A triple threat. Matt, real quick, your thoughts?
Tom Hodges, second season, he's going to take us OVC champions and go off the NCAA tournament. That's my predictions.
All right, we can only hope that that happens, and we'll be right back after the break here on MSU Sports Circle.
Please don't throw that trash on the ground. I know someone is watching you now. Recycle man, recycle man. Please take care of all your waste in a responsible way. Recycle.
The Morehead State University Space Science Center has been established to provide a research and educational facility with state-of-the-art laboratories for undergraduate students in space science. The Star Theater located inside functions as a classroom and public entertainment room featuring laser light shows and 3D movies. To contact the Space Science Center, call 606-783-2381. For events in the Star Theater, call 606-783-9593.
Welcome back once again, fellas. We're going to talk in this discussion 4 about something that's been a little bit of a question mark for quite a while now. I still am not completely, entirely up to date on what's going on. Matt, can you help me out? NBA lockout, what's the latest news?
It's a mess right now. We're pretty much at a standstill. It's like one day you hear about we're having a meeting, then we're not having a meeting, then we are having a meeting. David Stern, his offers with the salary cap is not what we want. It's really kind of hard to break this whole mess down. I don't know where we're going with this. I mean, I'm kind of forgetting we have NBA basketball. I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, we need to figure out a way to get something rolling because as of right now, we all know there's pretty much not going to be a season, but we're looking for the sake of next season.
Unfortunately, that's the sad realization that we all have to come to. There may not be an NBA season. More than likely, it's not going to happen. Justin, I'll ask you, and I've asked this question before, maybe we'll have more insight now. What has to happen for this lockout to either come to a close, or should they go ahead and just close the books on this lockout, pick up at a later date? What needs to happen?
Compromise. It's very simple. The owners, players need to come to a compromise. Right now, a lot of the argument is said that they're arguing over the 5% of the deal, which is the biggest percentage of the deal, at the same time giving credit, but they need to compromise.
All right, now, fellas, we'll go from there, and I'll ask you, which this is a loaded question, but I'll see your thoughts on it. Do you think that this has been one of the worst lockouts as far as a commissioner handling the lockouts? You had the lockout back in baseball where they had no season, but they came right back, took care of business, got back to baseball, haven't had one since. NHL had one a couple years ago, sad to say, but again, came right back, haven't had problems since. NFL had a lockout this summer, took care of business, they're playing football right now, didn't affect much. NBA, however, we had a lockout just back in '99. Now that sounds like a little while ago, but in all retrospect, that's not that long ago. Both of them under Commissioner Stern. Is this the worst one that we've seen? Matt?
Yes, sir. The way it's being handled is it's unacceptable. The owners can't come to no agreement. The players, David Stern, it's horrible. It's the worst one in sports history, in my personal opinion.
All right, Justin, I'll ask you. Is it the worst, or is there maybe something that can salvage it so it's not as bad?
I'm not going to call it the worst. There's still time. But due to lack of clarity, lack of compromise, lack of communication, I'll say it is one of the worst lockouts that we've seen.
All right. Now, Matt, I'll ask you and put you, which we've done this before, but maybe we'll have a little more clarity this time around. If you're David Stern right now, what do you do to end the lockout? How do you bring all of this mess to a cleanse?
One word, Justin just said, we compromise. How do we compromise? I don't know. I don't know all the ins and outs of what's going on, but whatever it is, we need to compromise. Whatever it takes to compromise, till we can finally come to agreement to maybe get a season. We highly doubt it, but you just never know. Things do happen, and just go from there.
All right. Well, as of right now, unfortunately, it is still a big question mark in the NBA. But no doubt about it, we'll have a good show and a good close coming right up after this break.
For students pursuing a career in the medical health field, come check out the new MSU Share Building. The Share Building is located right below St. Clair Hospital on Fleming Avenue. This building will offer students the chance to further their understanding of medical health and prepare them for a future with state-of-the-art hands-on classes.
When you got some homework and you need a place to go, when you're working on a project and your computer is slow, there's a little place on campus that I think that you should know about. The first story of the library is what I'm talking about. Walk past Java City and then you will see the new commons area is where you should be. They got computers and printers, couches, tables and more. It's the perfect place to go for study time galore.
Welcome back. Our show has come to a close yet again. We have our closing segments with Matt Johnson and Justin Neely. Matt, we'll start with you. What do you have for us today?
Yesterday was the first official day of the college basketball season. I know the college fans are real excited. It's going to be a real big buzz with an NBA lockout, so I think a lot of NBA fans are going to really be tuning in your college ball. And in particular, our MSU Eagles both host. We got the UK women's Friday at Johnson Arena, and then the men we play in North Carolina State in North Carolina, so that should be real exciting.
Absolutely. I think that's going to be a very good contest, especially with number 15 UK coming to our spot. Hopefully we encourage all the fans to go out to that contest and cheer on our MSU Eagles at Johnson Arena. Justin, what do you have for us?
I'm going to take it back to the NBA lockout. Tomorrow holds a very important meeting. I mean, what we get accomplished, what we don't get accomplished is going to have a very big effect on whether it's more of a guesstimate of lack of season or a shortened season. So tomorrow is a very important day.
Absolutely, without a doubt. And what do you think will have to happen tomorrow for the NBA lockout?
Compromise. I've said it the whole show. They're going to have to compromise. Someone's going to have to be willing to take less. Someone's going to be willing to have to give more. It's just that simple.
All right, simple is as simple does. Now, we have a little time left on the show. I'll ask you guys real quick. Matt, what's your predictions for the MSU Eagles men's and women's basketball teams this weekend?
Sadly to say for MSU men's, just seeing what I've seen so far, I think predictions are right, about 5th in the conference. Maybe get 17, 18 wins. I don't even think we get 20 this year, fellas. I do not see that right now. For the women's, like I said, I'm predicting us to win the conference and go on and get an NCAA bid. So I think this potentially be one of the best MSU women's seasons we've ever seen in school history.
Neely, your thoughts?
This weekend in particular, I'm going to say I expect a dogfight from the Lady Eagles. UK is one of the top teams in the country, but I think that we'll rise to the occasion, and it's going to be a good game. As far as the men go, I think you'll definitely see chemistry start to develop. You'll start seeing roles being defined, and we'll see what direction we're heading in.
All right. We can only hope the best of luck for both men's and women's basketball programs. That does it for us here on MSU Sports Circle yet again. For Matt Johnson and Justin Neely, I'm Tyler Smith. We'll see you next time here on MSU TV.